Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to No Review Playthrough with Ryan. Since I had a lot of success with the last video and the show and tell of the insert for my Marvel United game, I thought I'd go back and maybe do some more of these with some of my older games. So this is not necessarily a new game. You've seen us play Mansions of Madness on the channel, but I have a very nice insert for this one. In fact, I bought it literally the day after I bought the game and put it all together. I realized it definitely needed an insert. So we're reviewing today, this is the Go7 Gaming insert for Mansions of Madness. And so I just thought I'd open this up and show you what we've got. Now, I have one of the expansions. We have the Path of the Serpent expansion, and we're able to pretty much fit everything except a few of the miniatures, and I'll explain how I kind of get that, or got around that. And so I have a few that I have like 4 or 5 really, just a couple of the other miniatures set off to the side in other containers. But this otherwise was able to fit everything, and it makes it usable. This one was really nice. This is a wooden one, which I said I'm kind of used to. Oh, I did want to state, get this back on. This does have, again, a little bit of the lid lift. Okay, it's not too bad, but that's kind of standard with some of these, to be honest. All right, so let's go through and see what we've got and how this all fits in here. So we've got obviously our rules reference, and then the Path of the Serpent insert, or just the changes that they had for this, for the expansion. So that fits in there right in the top of that. The lid lift comes just slightly from, again, the insert just being a little bit taller than the box. Now the top here, I've got a couple of the extra slots just kind of saved if I need them later. So this is pretty much all the tiles for the expansion. So this has a tray that comes on top. And so this has all the tile expansions. So they just barely fit in there perfectly. I mean, there's maybe a layer or room for one more layer, but this we go ahead and keep all the tile expansion, or the expansion tiles in here, just to kind of separate them from the others. Now, when you play with the app, if you add the expansion, obviously, to the app, can randomly throw in different tiles. So we kind of keep this pile separate and the original separate, so as we can kind of keep track of those. It has a nice little tray, and you can see the getting started rules references in the bottom there. All right, this has a ton of trays, but I cannot tell you how much this has really saved this game. Like I said, I bought it pretty much the day after I put everything together. I knew I was going to need something, so I don't really know how bad it would have been without it, but I can just imagine with all these bits and pieces, you could probably see, I could see already. Mostly I did it for the miniatures so that we could hold the miniatures in place, because I opened up the game, glued all the miniatures to the bases. I know some people hate the bases for this. I know they're not the best either. I'm not a big fan of them either, but a lot of people I know don't glue and I'll show you here in just a minute if you know what I'm talking about. Or if you've seen us play, they have the square bases, the black bases. They definitely, without this, you're just going to throw them all in. And some people, obviously, if you're going to paint them, at the time I had no desire to paint them. I only painted them about a year after having this, and I started doing that. But if you're going to paint them and store them, you definitely need something like this. Otherwise, you just have to throw them in a bag in the box here. All right, so we have a whole bunch of different layers here, and they do work out very, very nice. So here is all the core tiles. And it has a very nice punch on the back, so you can lift those out very easily. So it has the hallways, and then underneath you have the full squares. I'm not going to pull all of those out, but perfectly fit. I don't think we have any of the expansions. I think this is 100% the base game here, if I remember correctly. So, and if not, then we have some of the expansions in here. I can't quite remember, to be honest, but obviously we have a good selection that fit all in there. And then it just kind of keeps going down layer by layer. So here we have a token tray. And the nice thing is a lot of these they did put, it's kind of hard to see if I dig all these out. They did label these in the bottom where things go. Now, not all of them, again, because of the expansion, not all of them are in their exact spots. but for the most part they are. And I have extra dice that I bought because, again, I knew that we'd be playing quite a bit and I like to have extra dice. We have all the companions, clues, rocky terrain, the grass from the barricades, and fire and darkness tokens all fit very nicely. Again, this kind of full here, but this is all the clues and the other, basically the interactive markers there. Next tray here, again, you can see this says clue tokens here, so I have all the clue tokens plus the extras. I don't think this one's the same. This one's the barricade tokens, yeah. So I've put the extra enemy markers. Here's the barricades. Now, with some of the expansions, I did have a couple extra tiles I've put in a plastic baggie, but I found we've never run out of the tiles just because they wouldn't quite fit in, being the height that they had, they wouldn't quite all fit in. So there's a few of the tiles that are removed from there. And I will tell you, it takes me sometimes a few times to kind of Tetris this back together, but I don't know how these people do this, how they figure out how all of this works exactly, but people smarter than me. Okay, so we have another layer here, so now you can start seeing the miniatures. So let's go ahead and pull out this little tray. Again, these all fit up perfectly. We have the investigators, and again, the nice thing is they have holes in the bottom. There's the IDs. That's technically where those are supposed to go. So I could fit a couple of other tokens there if I needed, but I don't really need them. So we have all of our investigators from the base game and the expansion. And then you can see here's where pretty much the miniatures come into play. Actually, before we do that, let's take a look at the card tray. Let's pull up the card tray. So the card tray fit all of the cards in here, again, from the base game and the expansion. And I do sleeve the wounds and the madness ones just because we shuffle those a lot. The other cards and so forth don't really get shuffled. You just kind of use them, so I don't really have them stored in. But so it'd be probably, if you sleeved all of these, they definitely would not all fit, that's for sure. And that's one reason why I kind of like, okay, I think I had all these sleeved at one point, and then I unsleeved them when I found they couldn't all fit. Maybe if I pulled out some of the dividers, but the big point of the dividers is you know exactly what kinds. You've got your items, your special items, your madness, and your spells all in different slots. So if you didn't sleeve these, you could definitely fit a lot more cards. Obviously, sleeves about double the thickness of every deck from there. But again, pretty nice. Just reach in, find those all fit. So I have all the cards that we need for the game in the card slot, the card tray. All right, so here's where it was really necessary for the miniatures. Okay, they did a very nice job of putting these slots to slide in and out the miniatures. The only problem I had is when I found I had to kind of re-glue some of these. You notice that just so that they would kind of fit head to head. Now these two were not in the base game, so I think there was 4 of these. So when I was saying fitting the miniatures, I wasn't able to fit all of them from both. So what I did was I kind of took out a lot of them that we had extras of. For example, the base game gives you a ton of cultists. Well, we don't need all those cultists, so I was able to replace some of those with the birds from the expansion, these snake birds from the expansion. So and that's kind of what I did here. I pulled out some of these with the similar bases size. Again, we don't need all of them. I think we've only used the mobs maybe once, and the snakes maybe 1, maybe 2 per game, which it has. So that was kind of nice. So I did have to kind of figure out how to glue the base. I kind of had to hold the base like this and kind of move the miniature around just a little bit, and just so that I could get them slid in there, because sometimes they wanted to collide with each other just a little bit. So that's how I was able to fit the miniatures from the base game and the expansion. So I do have another box where I have a few of the extras, ones that we don't use a whole lot. Another example of that is we got this big basilisk here, which my daughter painted up, one of her first miniatures. You get 2 of the star spawns in the base game, but we've never played a game with both of them. We still have it, it's just off to the side. But this allows us to put the 2 big miniatures in here. So we just had to kind of figure out how many of each miniature we might. All right, kind of a weird cut, but I wanted to come back in. As I was editing the video, I realized that I didn't show these very good on camera. It's kind of hard when you do this with an iPhone. You don't know exactly what is on camera or not as you're going without the extra viewfinder. I'm basically just kind of trying to figure out where my space is, and I realized as I was throwing some of this off that this kind of went off camera a little bit, so I decided it was worthwhile to come back and reshoot this. So at this point I was showing off again the box and how we fit the extra miniatures from the expansion into here. And so we had a whole bunch of cultists, and we had a couple of these ghosts, and we don't really use all of those every game. So right now I have 5 cultists in here, so I tried to mix these up. So I put some of this from the expansion, so we have a couple of the snake people here from the expansion. We have these ones from the base game, and then these from the expansion. So what I did is I just kind of took out some of the extras, like you had a whole bunch of these deep ones. So I took those out, replaced them with some of these. So I've got a little bit of both expansions in here. And then if we really needed to, I have the extra somewhere else, but I don't think we've ever played a game where we've had more than 2 or 3 cultists at a time. I've got 4 of the hybrids in here, so I was able to fit quite a bit. So before the expansion, so we did have some empty slots. This obviously, with the expansion, overfilled it. So I just went through the miniatures, figured out which I need more of. Again, usually I've only used 1 ghost. We've got this one dude down here, the Child of Dagon. There's only 1 of him, so he's definitely in here. And I put 1 ghost in here, but we usually have a couple cultists from there. So I just wanted to come back and reshoot this because I don't think I did a very good job with that. The same with the investigator box. I noticed that I had half the box off the camera while I was showing this off. So we're able to fit all of the investigators in here easily in this nice little box, and they have this nice little slide. It is full. I would not be able to fit any more in here, even though it looks like there's more. They would, obviously I can't slide those in here. They would not fit that way, but they all slide in here very nice. Again, it's quite ingenious how they've put these together, how they figure all that out. So I just wanted to step in here and redo this because I felt like if I'm going in to do a show and tell, I really should show you what I have, and instead of half of it being off camera. All right, let's get back to the video. At this point, and I'm sure the game was, or the insert was designed to fit all of the core elements. I can't remember if the description said the core game plus extras. I know they sell a bunch of the extras, or they sell inserts for other expansions separately. So I could have bought a separate expansion just for the Path of the Serpent, which was supposed to fit in that box. And I don't know, I know the expansions for this are kind of hard to find now. So I don't really know if we're gonna buy any more, to be honest. So putting everything back, sometimes I have to remember where everything is and kind of move things around. But everything slides back in very nicely. And again, they made it so everything ends up being leveled out when you're done. Let's see. See, I already forgot. So this goes on here. And then we have all of the tiles. Now, because it is a wood insert, it is quite heavy, makes the box quite heavy. But you know what, I don't really travel around and do a lot of gaming nights, so that is not a big issue for us. That fits right in there, just a little tight. And then the lid goes back on top. Now I did have to glue all of the wood together with some wood glue. I did have to kind of rubber band some things together as the glue was drying, which is normal for some of them that I've done. This is also the first Go7 Gaming I've ever purchased. I usually buy broken token ones, so most of the broken token ones fit really tightly, and I've mostly been able to snap them together, and most of them just are one that sits in the bottom of the box. But I knew immediately, since this is one I'm pulling in and out, and I'm creating basically individual boxes, you definitely had to glue this together. It did take some time. It's been about a year ago, honestly, since I put this together, so I don't know how long it took, but it probably took a good 3 or 4 hours to honestly put all together if you sat down in one session. The only thing that was really hard about putting it together, again, at this point I'd still put together quite a few inserts. The only thing that was really hard about this one putting it together is, you know, you get them in your, you know, sheets, you know, they're laid flat and they're pre-cut. The problem was they were so pre-cut so well that when I slid them out of the bag, they like half of the pieces fell out. So what made that hard was to go back and follow the instructions. It says like find sheet A, and then try and, you know, use these parts from sheet A, or this tray was all on sheet A. Well, I pulled all of these out, you know, not really thinking about it. So I pulled like all the sheets, which was 4 or 5 sheets out. I pulled them all out, and I was doing that. So I had bits and pieces all over. So a lot of that time, to be honest, was literally going back, and I had to really look at each piece and turn it around. Okay, this piece is, okay, it's this piece is here. And that was the hardest part of this, and I can't really fault the company for that, because we always like to have them really cut out very nicely, but they were cut out. So I don't know if I could have anticipated that any better, like when I pulled them out, and not have that happen, maybe put a sheet of paper in between, so when I pulled it out, but there was no way I could have anticipated that. And maybe all of them are like that. If I got another one, maybe I'd kind of know that. So hopefully that will help you if you do purchase something from Go7, or if you have, let me know if that's kind of their thing. Again, it was nice that they're all cut out, because to be honest, sometimes the broken token ones, I've had to really force them out of the sheet. And sometimes I've almost cracked or broken, I've been very careful of that. So it was nice to have them all come out nice and clean, but in some regard, they all came out together at the same time. It made it a little harder to find which piece was. And obviously, as I got through, the less pieces I had to go through. So I guess what I could have done is put the sheet on the table and tried to just lay the pieces back in, but I wasn't thinking of that at the time. So all right, I hope that is helpful for you. Again, I'm not a big person here to say whether this is, you know, review stuff. Of course, our channel is just no review. We're just here to present information to you guys, to see, again, what the pieces are about and see what you go through. But I definitely, again, I haven't really played the game without, but I knew right away that I need this, and I would say that this is something like this is definitely needed for this game. We just pull these trays out, set them on the table, and we're pretty much ready to go. Makes it very nice. And again, it's a heavy beast now. It's a good couple pounds now with all that wood and plastic in there. But again, I'm not traveling around with this a lot, so I'm not too concerned about weight. But it, again, even though it makes the game, you know, the base game was about $100 itself. I'm pretty sure the insert, I'll double check when I put it, but the description in the comments below, I'm sure I paid 50, 60 bucks for that, but in this case, it was definitely worth it. So once again, I hope that helps you, gives you some information on something you might need for your own game, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.